Hi everyone, we are back again with another chapter reading of Aether Wuld. So, let's get into it. Chapter 4, Looming Threats. Ymir leaned against the stables, resting her arms on its roof. The stables were the largest buildings in Aethys kin, to house the striders within. Huge canine mounts, with either pronged horns or antlers that stood twice the size of the average equine. Two large doors were chained open, wide and tall enough that Ymir could enter the building if she crouched. Despite the building's constant use, its wood remained polished, and the cut stone retained sharp edges. Around the clock, stable hands scurried about, maintaining the grounds and tending to the striders. From the southern gates, a single strider limped, bearing a bloody tostra. She received support from a young human covered in grime, who appeared, for the moment at least, to be unscathed. The strider panted as they approached Ymir. Onlookers began to gather with concerned whispers as a single strider returned. "You're Orcus, right?" Ymir addressed the human supporting Tostra. He nodded. "Where's the rest of your group?" Orcus looked down at the veteran rider before shaking his head. Ymir looked at everyone gathering, some with worried expressions, and others with raised brows. She glanced down at Orcus and Tostra. "Head in. I'll be inside in a moment." "Ymir," Chroma explained over the crowd. Tostra snorted and wheezed. "Sounds like someone is in trouble." She turned her head to address her companion. "Orcus, be a pal and get me inside, then run and grab Doc." Orcus nodded and steered the strider inside. "Ymir!" The crowd parted, their worry dissipated with murmurs and giggles as Chroma made her way through. She flounced up to the stables, crouched, and leapt onto the roof. She looked up at Ymir with crossed arms, waiting. Ymir's stomach sank. Hi, Chroma." She averted her eyes. Chroma shook her head and pinched the bridge of her nose. The fur on her tail stood up straight. Hi, Chroma? You... You tell me, Ymir. Look at me." Ymir pried her eyes away from the ground and looked into Chroma's eyes. One was unfocused and slightly closed, while the other was narrow and piercing. Chroma shook her head and huffed. "You confessed your love to me with a pun, right as I thought you were falling to your death. Not only that, but afterwards I sat by your bed until Doc forced me out of your room, and you didn't even come to tell me you're okay." She shrugged as tears welled up in her good eye. "I mean, what were you even thinking?" Ymir took a deep breath. "I was thinking that I love you because I really do." She glanced at the crowd again as they turned their heads away. "I was scared because..." She leaned in. "Because I didn't know what was going on. And I thought if I didn't tell you, I would have died without ever telling you I love you, Chroma." Chroma blushed a deep red, failing to keep her frown in place. "I'm still mad at you, but..." She bit her cheek and looked away. "I love you too." Ymir smiled, extending her palms for Chroma to climb onto. "We can finish talking about this later in private, yeah? Tostra's hurt, and I need to check on her." Chroma nodded and sat in Ymir's hands, wrapping her tail around Ymir's finger. Ymir ducked into the stables, passing Orcus as he left to find Doc, and closed the stable doors behind her. "Tostra, how are you feeling?" Stable hands cleared the way as Ymir knelt before Tostra. The veteran rider was leaning against the wheel of a cart, only slightly less dirty than before. Striders peeked their heads out to their stalls, nudging their horns on the woodwork. Some fed on chunks of raw meat, and others on oats and hay. Tostra coughed, clutching her waist. "I'll live. It's going to take more than a few enraged kin to take me out. We might share their blood, but they... Sure strider dung can't..." She paused to cough up blood, and looked up at a wide-eyed Chroma in Ymir's palms. "Trouble in paradise, Chroma?" She laughed, but cut herself off with a wheeze. Chroma sat in silence, tightening her tail around Ymir's finger. "What happened out there? Doc told me you were scouting Blackstone for Ro and Marin," Ymir said, frowning. "Aye." Tostra's glee faded. We lost 3, And if it weren't for the new blood, I would have been knocking on Date's door myself. The kid's a quick thinker, I'll give him that. She grimaced as she straightened her back. The enraged kin have full control of Blackstone. Even so, your striders should have been able to outrun them, Chroma said. The enraged are big, but not necessarily fast. Tostra nodded. Our striders are fast, but not hardy. All it takes is a well-timed strike or ambush to bring them down. But the enraged kin don't think, let alone plan ambushes, Ymir said. They barrel through everything, and you should have been able to hear them coming from miles away. Tostra took a deep breath and nodded, keeping her tears from falling. If you go out there, you need to be on alert. You can't take your eyes off anything, you hear me? The enraged are learning. Her eyes widened. Spirits, Ymir. We can't even build pyres for them. The tears flowed. How am I going to tell Toria her father is in the bellies of who knows how many beasts? Zindo, that his husband was ripped in half by two enraged who were squabbling over dinner, or that little Wuti's mum. She covered her mouth and shut her eyes. Ymir sat and crossed her legs. I'll tell their families. You only left to scout because I was unconscious. Her heart dropped, but she reassured Tostra. It's not your fault. Even without their bodies, we can still build pyres for them, and we'll make sure everyone's taken care of. They will have a proper send-off. But for now, I want you to focus on healing, okay? Tostra nodded. Just please don't go out there alone. I know you can handle yourself, but... She stared at the ground. Just don't go alone. Well, she won't be going alone, Mulo said, exasperated as he walked in beside Stalk and Orcus. Consider yourself lucky, Ymir. For reasons beyond my understanding, my wondrous and merciful lord has tasked me with ensuring you live until you reach your destination, so here I am. Doc hurried over and examined Tostra, aided by Orcus. Chroma looked up at Ymir. If you're going out, I'm not letting you travel alone with that bird brain. Ymir frowned. What? No, you're not coming to Blackstone. It's not like this is my first time fighting the enraged, Ymir. Don't let her come, she's a terrible fighter, Mulo said. Chroma hissed at Mulo. No one asked for your opinion, you fanatical dung-licker. I'm simply speaking the truth, Mulo shrugged. Enough, Mulo, Ymir scowled. Chroma, it's not that I don't believe you. I know better than anyone how skilled you are. But if Tostra is this hurt from merely scouting, I can't, in good conscience, bring you along. Chroma shrugged. That's all the more reason to bring me along if you ask me. You went unconscious, and you're about to head deep into Blackstone with him. She bore her fangs at Mulo. You're not traveling alone with feathers, and that's final. Mulo scoffed. This is the thanks I get for catching Ymir before her brain splattered all over our precious tower. Ymir raised a brow. Mulo glared. I injured my wing saving you, you know? Doc sighed. It was a minor sprain, and you're healthy enough to fly as you please. But Ymir speaks the truth. He saved you and brought you back inside to me. Mulo smiled coldly. You can begin groveling whenever you please. Ymir rolled her eyes. How's Tostra looking, Doc? She will live. Whatever breed of enraged did this, thankfully Mr. Vital Organs. Help me get her to my office before you leave. Ymir gently lifted Tostra with her free hands and turned toward the doors. Wait, Tostra said. Put me in front of the new rider for a moment. Ymir obliged. You did well out there, kid. There's barely a scratch on you. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for your help. Now, I don't want to send you back out to the field, but they're going to need you to lead the way. Get some fresh gear and get your strider ready. Show them the path we took of the forest. They may have gotten the drop on us once, but you can keep that from happening again. Ymir's the second strongest person in all of Ada's kin. Stay close to her and you'll do just fine. I'm proud of you, kid. Orcus beamed and nodded, hurrying off to gather his gear. I hope that's okay with you, Ymir, Tostra asked. I'm sure I'll be an asset to our group. Now let's get you some proper rest. Hey, Mute, is your strider ready yet? Mulo asked as he hovered through the open doors of the stables a few hours later. The crowds had dissipated. the residents of Aeta's kin went about their business as usual. If you're going to be leading the pack, you'll need to... What in Aeta's name is going on here? Orcus sighed as his fellow guardsmen surrounded his skittish strider. They brushed its grizzled fur and polished its prong horns, each of the workers merrily humming. One Anihu guard massaged its paws, and another hand-fed it while hanging from the stable rafters with its tail. "He'll be ready in just a moment," a young guard said from behind the strider as he fluffed its tail. Orcus ushered his companions out of the stall and patted his mount, calming it as he gently met its gaze to fasten its bridle. "Good, then let's go. We're heading out already." Mulo spread his wings and flew out the stables. Orcus guided the strider's head down and climbed onto its back. He squeezed his heels, and it rose to its full height. Its legs were long and thin, as it stretched, hooked claws extended from its paws. Orcus held onto the reins and patted its neck. He lowered his head beneath the rafters, and the strider exited the stall and the stable itself. From atop his mount, Orcus could easily see over the tops of the nearby trees. He looked up at Ymir, standing in her giant form, as he leaned against the building, talking with Chroma. Chroma placed a hand on Ymir's cheek. "No one blames you, and they certainly don't hate you." She kissed Ymir's nose. "They just need time to grieve." "I don't know. I feel like Ro would have been able to handle things better. At least they won't blame Tostra." She glanced down at Orcus. "Oh, are you ready now?" With a nervous grin, he nodded at them and urged the beast forward, but it hesitated. The strider locked its gaze on Chroma and tucked its tail between its legs, growling. "Congratulations again on the promotion," Chroma said before leaping down. She smiled. "We're looking forward to working with you." She took a step closer and Orcus' strider yelped, taking several steps back. Orcus hummed a calming melody, and his strider relaxed. Chroma blushed and scratched her horns. This always happens. She walked further into the stables, and all the striders yelped and reared back into their stalls. "Hey, new bloods, do you have anything for me?" Orcus' entourage started calming the beasts. An older human workhand walked up to Chroma. Actually, we might have something, but none of us even know what it is." He guided her to the furthest stall. One smaller than the rest was used to contain newborn striders. In it was a giant lizard-like creature. The guards found it just sunbathing on the wall after the raid. He opened the gate, and the beast's massive tongue stretched out and licked him from the chest up along his face. "It's probably never going to wash out." Her new mount panted heavily and wet the scales round its lips before licking its eyes. It tilted its head to the side and looked Chroma up and down. "It had a saddle on it already, so it belonged to the Mon invaders," the stable hand informed Chroma. "But I guess what matters is that it isn't afraid of you like anything else in here. Actually, it is rude of me to ask, why is it you make everything wet themselves?" Chroma took a step back, not breaking eye contact with the scaly steed. "It's a family curse, I suppose you could say," she said reluctantly. "Are you sure you don't have anything else? Not even a farm animal?" He shook his head. "I get the feeling this is the only mount here that can stand being near you." Chroma huffed. "All right, is you ready to go then? Hop on and find out." She shook her head and inched slowly towards the beast. "Easy now. Why don't you lay down for me, yeah?" The lizard flattened out further onto the floor, tilting its head and watching Chroma intently. She lifted her hooves over its back. "I suppose you have a stirrup to accommodate me?" she asked the stable hand. He shook his head. "Right." She wrapped her tail around the horn of the saddle. Go?" Her steed rose, causing her to hit her horns on the rafters, and she scrambled out the stables. "Watch out!" she shrieked as the creature knocked over several guards and came to a halt before Ymir. Chroma shakily brushed her hair back and gagged. She hurled. "Gotta get off this thing." The fiend stared at Ymir and urinated before skidding off with Chroma in tow. No. And that's chapter 4. Thank you all for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.